Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Well, they spilled the beans. The Federal Reserve told us what they're going to do. Now I think you can laugh after I say that. And what it all comes down to is how do we describe it? They're going to advance their tapering. Is it their tapering? Yes. And so they're going to advance that, double the speed, supposedly. And then from there, what they're going to do is they are going to start raising rates 3 times. At the same time, one person asked, I have not heard it repeated on the Talking Heads, but one person asked him, would you start raising rates sooner? And he said, not while we're still doing quantitative easing. And that's when the stock market and everything started to take off. So the Dow, since that person asked, about the 8th question, out of nowhere, the market was going up and down, up and down. Nothing major, just up and down. And then he said, no way I could raise rates and taper at the same time. And so, in other words, as long as they're doing QE of some form, he said basically very clear in English, no. And now the Dow Jones Industrial Average is like 500 points higher since that person asked that question. None of the other questions instigated it. That one did it. So where we stand now is, there is some speculation that, well, you can see the Bank of England has dropped and they increased rates. So normally, they work in lockstep. So, we see the exchequer started. So there is a little conversation that by a few smart people from Stephen Nicholas, or I think they call themselves Stephen now, and a few intelligent people that I follow off and on or hear from, maybe in February or March, after the testimony and he's sworn in. And so in other words, there was really strong opinion that he was going to stop yesterday and he was going to start raising rates and get this stuff cleaned up since he had been already appointed. But now the attitude is maybe it'll happen and so there will be some surprise increases out of nowhere. Probably as numbers get worse, let's see, I guess the next CPI, PPI period going into January, if he's approved by that point, good chance that he may just start raising some rates. If it's in February, then he may start saving some rates. In other words, more than likely after he gets sworn in again. And that seems to be the attitude of it all. All right. For poor President / former Prime Minister Aragon, things just get worse and worse there. We just keep on seeing headlines all over the place. It's just, I understand he locked up a bunch of people 51 people for hoarding automobiles. So, I guess I don't know if if you can even say anything about that. You just have to scratch your heads on that one. But anyway, that's where that stands. All right, let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at the Swiss. The dollar is. Let's see. Last I looked, it was going down. So we weren't lifting from this whole adventure. Let's see, where is it at? It's right here somewhere. There it is. And let's put it up on J4X. There it is, coming up on J4X right there. And let's see what it looks like on Chicago Quant. Where's that mouse? There it is. Right there. Okay, you can see it. It hit yesterday the top end of the range and stalled out. Looking a little weakish here. We're still in a daily buy for 4 days now. This will be the 4th day. You can see the weekly is playing with it, with the zero line itself. And at the same time, we just have lots of end of the year situation. I don't know how to take it. I can tell you this. One of the big insiders of the Democrat Party, I know this is a little off course, but one of the big insiders of the Democrat Party has just started to sell off its COVID financial bet that it won big time. Big time. They sold it off to another hedge fund. This was the vice chair of the Democrat Party, I believe it was, or I don't think he was chairman of it. And his firm had bought in on masks and gloves and all this stuff, and for the COVID in 2018. So they just sold off their big investment, which they've made incredible amounts of money. And so they're getting out of Dodge. So maybe now we're coming to the end of this, whatever you want to call it. If I call it some of the things I think of it, it gets a little freaky. But in the end result that's a fact, I'm telling you. I know someone is inside their firm, and they told me last night that they sold them off, and now another firm is picking them up. So I don't know if that's the beginning of the end of this slowdown, COVID, worldwide crazy, or we're seeing the beginnings of it since they started in 2018 purchasing all these companies that make masks and sell parts and bits of gloves and anything that needs to be used in a lab. And their company has exploded in value. They were making no money at all when they bought them. That's the funny part. This is not a group of people who like to buy things that don't make money. So they bought them, and now they just sold them. So, and this is in the last 24 hours. So I don't know what that means, but I mean, I know what I think it means, but it's just a warning sign. We may be coming down to the end of the COVID panic. It might be the beginning of the end. It's like what Winston Churchill said. It's not the end, but it's the beginning of the end. And that's where we might be right now. Is we may be now just starting to pass that doorway. They may realize. I mean, they're very smart, so they probably know that we're coming down to maybe a year from now. We're just not going to be in the same panic mode of COVID. That's probably what it's probably trying to tell us. So that economically, that could be interesting and positive in its own right, or vice versa. There's no money coming in for the COVID, and it knocks things down. It's hard to say. I myself think things will get better in about a year and a half anyway, economically. So, all right. So we go from here to the Swiss. You can see the Swiss is basically kind of neutral. The weekly is starting to weaken up. Maybe a little selling down of the dollar, but then we have less than 2 weeks to the end of the year, and this is all based off of tax situation at this point. We see profits everywhere, enormous profits everywhere. From the cryptos, Bitcoin, starting off the year at 24,000, getting up to 75,000, now trading at 50,000, I think it is. And so forth. Someone's got to take a profit. If you don't take profits, how do you get paid? That's what it really comes down to in my industry or your industry or whoever's out there listening. All right, from there, let's jump over to the euro and see what the euro's up to. I did see it earlier this morning, looking a lot firmer, and it is. There you go. You can see that. And you can see the daily is trying to turn up as we speak, and the weekly is looking pretty healthy right there also at the same time. It's trying to turn up. And let's take a look at it on J4X. I'm looking forward to looking at the cable with the exchequer lowering rates. Increasing rates. That says just a little bit more action here. And the exchequer normally is in lockstep with the Fed, so that's what gives me a little. That's what gave me a little comfort to be able to talk about what still possibly could be a early increase of rates. You can see here, there's the euro. It's moving up through the line here. It's trying to do its best. You can see a green hinky. So doing the same thing as our Chicago quant, holding on and lifting. Now, let's dance our way over to the cable. That's what I want to see. I'm really curious to see what's going on there. And that's the wrong one there. We'll get there. There it is. Up into the 33s. Nice. Nice. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. And that one, the weekly, was acting very well over the last couple days. So let's check that out right there. Yeah, look at that. The weekly is, we've got the super side of it already into the plus. We've got the gas line 3 itself, underneath still. And we've been in a daily buy for 4 solid days, going on a 5th. So, I think we basically have been saying over and over, we know one thing for sure, you don't want to be short this product, the way it's been acting. And we'll just keep on watching the way it marches at this point and go from there. Alright, now, where's the next one here? Let's see. That's the cable. They've raised rates. It's going up. What else can there be said? Nothing. No questions out there, I see. So that's where we are, and let's move along to, unfortunately, the situation in Turkey. Let's take a look at that. And I do hear just tough situations. I mean, the poverty. Until we showed you that article, I mean, no one seemed to be wanting to talk about the poverty. I mean, we knew that people were getting beat up from this enormous inflation, but whoa, yeah, I heard that it was almost going up to the 16. That's the dollar Turkish lira. You see that? Another all-time high. We're thinking that this thing wants to go to the 18s when it comes to the euro, so we'll see where that's at. Let's put the euro up on the J4X. We really think it's going to at least try to get to the halfway point. Yeah, it's gotten close, that's for sure. You see that there, it's trading at 1764 offers. Not much more you can say about the dollar, the dollar side of it. And let's just take a look at that on the Chicago Quant side of the Turkish lira, euro Turkish lira. And yeah, and today's high is 1772. And we're figuring that, and where we derived, where we derived that 18 is 1.5, then 3, then 3 to 6. These are the prices of the euro Turkish lira. Then 6 to 12, and then the next one would be 24. 2 times 12 is 24. And we're thinking that it might get halfway to it. So that's the 18. So we'll see how they treat it when we do see it up to there. It's very close already. I mean, we could basically move this line up to there because that's what we're thinking at this point, is it's going to go to that line. We've been talking about that for about a week or two now, I guess. And unfortunately, it seems, I guess the 51 car people getting locked up because they're not willing to sell cars. Wow. How do you run a country like that on any capitalist level when that happens? I guess, if nothing else, I guess European Union has missed a good situation of not allowing the crazy to happen, I mean, that's what it really came down to, is that they were going to be part of the European Union, and now they're not. And so, I mean, basically that is really what's freaky about it all in the end. Look at this weekly. Let's make that green also, and bring it down to the 11. So there we are. And so there's the, where is it? There it is right there. Let's grab that. Move that over. Oh, actually, we can delete that. I guess it's so far back at this point. That's what it is. And there it is right there. Let's save all that. So I guess the Turkish lira this year is going to be the one that, of the industrialized countries, will be the one that has really taken it so hard on the chin. Let's see how they started the year off. Let's just do that. So we're looking at Turkish lira in the euro Turkish lira pairs trade. Let's see. Started the year off at 9. Oh my God, that's 18 right there again, isn't it? That 18 keeps on jumping out. 2 times 9, 18. So it started off at 9, traded down into the low 8.5 area, and then just took off. And it had some hesitations in here. You see that we went into a weekly buy, climbed up and fell down, Went into a sell again. They drove it down into the summer months, down to the 9.5, and then we went into a weekly buy in September, and it has not looked back. It's just one big wow. You know, it's been real one tough situation for everybody there. All right, there's the Turkish lira euro pairs trade. Now from there we normally go over to the Canadian. You can see it hit the top end of its range yesterday, right there, and now it's backing off, and you can see we're even flirting with a daily sell here today. Still in that weekly buy, so nothing too exciting going on there. And then let's take a look at it over here on the J4X. Right there. Should be developing a red hinky. Yep, look at that. Little red hinky starting up. Nice. And the white line is chasing after the dash line at this point. Nice. Following in the footstep. And that is pretty much what we see there. Now, when we look at the Canadian, we always have this opinion about oil and gold. When this product is going down against the dollar, in other words, it's becoming more valuable against the dollar, it's less Canadian to buy dollars, we expect to see gold higher, we expect to see oil higher. So let's do that. Let's go take a look at oil to start with. Right there. And it's trading at 71 and change, so I don't think of that as higher or lower at the moment. You can see a green hinky, but let's check it out over on Chicago. I think it closed in the daily buy yesterday. Yeah, it did. And it's up for today. It is up, but it's off its highs of 72.11. You can see there it's trading at 71.11. It's $1 off its highs. It's still in a buy by the hair of it. Oh, look at that. Even the daily is pierced underneath now. You see that at minus 0.09. The weekly is in a weekly sell. You know, it's been that way since, was that back at the end of October, going into the first week of November. So there's a lot of pressure there still. And we'll see what they do there. But we was higher today, so it does fit that. Now let's take a look at gold. There's gold. Gold is higher, definitely higher. You know, and let's put it up on J4X. Right there. So we're seeing a much firmer gold compared to yesterday. I believe it settled yesterday at something like 64, and today it's trading at wow, is it really up $20, $19? I guess so, huh? How about that? So it's they're really putting a push into the gold sector there. And we'll come back to this, see what the rest of the metals are doing. We're just going to finish off our currencies unless someone wants to see something. And we'll see what silver and the rest of them are doing. I think silver's doing the same thing. It's doing a little jump there. And look, it's getting closer to the buy side. And gold is also at the same time playing with the weekly buy pretty much all week. It's tried once to drop underneath and it came back up off of yesterday. So I don't know. I mean, the inflation numbers were horrible and they sold it down for 3 days. So is there any real solid opinion you can give on this stuff? I doubt it. Alright, let's go over and check out, since we're looking at the metals, what we do is we go over to the South African Rand. See what the South African Rand is doing. That's how we lead into the combination. ZAR right there it is. And you can see here, it's doing what it should be doing. Gold is going up in value, and this should be going down, and it is trying to go down. And you can see it's even flirting with the daily sell there at the moment. Now, obviously, the weekly is way too strong still, but at least the daily is starting to do something on the downside. Let's look at it on J4X. right there. I'm going to take a sip of tea. I don't know, we saw some of the worst economic numbers when it came to inflation over the last 4 or 5 days, and gold is, been sideways to down something crazy like $40. So 40, yeah. So I mean, how do you even try to guess the fundamental side of this? It's all math at this point. If you're not following the math side of it, it's going to do a whipsaw you all day long. Because the logic and the fundamentals are just not part of the cards at the moment. Alright, now let's take a look at the ruble. Right there. Ruble's doing the same thing, making a move down. It may be more systemic to the idea that all of the dollar is getting pushed down at the moment. That may be the answer really to it, since a lot of people had to believe that we were going to see an increase in interest rates much sooner than what Mr. Powell said he was going to do. So I myself am holding out still. I think that it's got to come. Something is blocking it. And it's obviously politics, and so the politics say, wait till he's sworn in, and then let's see what he does. Alright, now, remember, he's going to have to go through some testimony, so I guess, that could be, that's going to probably, that should go up on the high point of the swing of the markets, the testimony. He may have to say some very aggressive stuff to get some more votes, but I don't see him not getting voted in. I'm not sure the people that Mr. Biden has appointed are going to get in. That's the bigger question. Alright, now that's the ruble. Let's go check out the yen. Right there, dollar yen. And you see it there on Chicago Quant, moving up for the last daily buy for 2 days. This is the third day. We're climbing into the weekly. It's right on the edge. You can see right there on the end there. The super is up in the 18s, and the green is even at a plus 0.01. So they're buyer, or I guess you could say they're sellers, really, because what you're talking about is it takes more yen to buy a dollar as this thing rises. So that's losing money for the Japan side of the ball. And you see the same thing here. We have the strength there with the hinkies. You see the white line has not surrendered. Just like here, it is moving up, has the same slope and action. And then last but not least, we'll slide over to the Mexican peso. Right there. And right there. And it's doing a little dance down, so without raising those rates, looks like maybe they'll play back to the old range. Could be, you never know. We just need the weekly to really prove it to us. The daily is trying to do it, but we want to see the weekly get into a weekly sell to see that trend shift, and we're not seeing that at the moment. Just a kind of like a sideways action there. So that is, and I don't know if you can say that this is one of the canaries in the coal mine or not. In other words, it's a strong currency. It's a good, solid little industrial nation. Or I don't know if you call it little, but it's south of our border, and so we have lots of trade, and there's a lot of industry there, and so you got to wonder, when you see a weak Mexican peso, it's saying, okay, the dollar is going to go up in value, and maybe increase in interest rates, and vice versa. When you don't see that, maybe a drop. In this case here, they're just like probably standing on the sidelines like spectators, and we may see a much higher Mexican peso over the next 6 months or so. We'll see. That's the only way I can interpret it. But like I said, with the way fundamentals are not really respected, we're in a weekly buy here, and that's the only answer I have at this point. When it goes into a weekly sell, the general trend is going to be basically down. And we get the zigs and the zags with the dailies, where it goes into the daily here and rides it all the way up to there. Goes all the way up to there and goes into the sell there. So, no doubt the day to day, it's sideways down, but when it comes to the week, it's just steady and firm. Alrighty. Now from there, we're going to go back to the metals complex, and we're going to go see what Mr. and Mrs. Silver are doing. That's not that. Let's try it one more time. There we are. Silver. And let's put that in. Like so, there's silver. And it shows you that nice big jump that it did on from yesterday to today. We're looking at action like, where's that? Right, it's right there. And what we see at the moment is silver, which is, let's see, how much is that up today? So it's up 61 cents. So, it's making a nice, interesting rush up. And this is, what's really insane is, I guess, not insane, but what this really representative is that they were convinced that interest rates were going to go up. And metals usually go down when they see that interest rate move, because it costs more to hold on to them. So the fact that this big gap today, and they're starting to buy it, they're saying now maybe we won't see interest rates for another month or so. Let's let the holiday season go through, let them take the metals up a little bit, make some people happy. That's a possibility. Now you can see here we've been in the weekly sell since the week of the last 2 weeks of November, and so the pressure's on. And we've been in a daily sell since November 17th. We still are in a daily sell. Let's see if they can get it into a daily buy. That's 18 days or 17 days or something like that. Let's just take a look at the fact check spreadsheet. And right there, 19 days. We're in 19 days in a sell now on a day-to-day basis. 3 weeks in a weekly sell, going on a fourth. And that is that. I noticed the copper did the same exact thing. It gave that little big pop. It's trying, it's trying. It's getting that push there right now. Let's just give it a refresh and see what it looks like. See if it loses the red dot. No, it still hasn't lost that red dot. And we're still minus, of course, right there. And obviously, we're 4 full weeks in a weekly sell going on a 5th week. So the industrial side of our society is chill at the moment. Still high end of the range. I mean, we're trading in the 430 area. The range seems to be between like 465 and 4. So we're really stuck in the dead center of the copper range. Let's take a look at it on J4X. Right there. Putting a green hinky in. That's pretty positive. Where's the lines at? There's the lines. It's doing its thing just like us, and even a little bit stronger. So maybe. All right. Let's see, what else can we do around here? Let's take a look at. Let's see. From there, copper, we go and look at platinum. Let's see what platinum's up to. Platinum. Ooh, nice little pop, huh? Definitely battling its way cleanly through the daily buy. And this weekly needs to do a lot more work. But that's interesting. Maybe this is a start. Maybe they're going to stop selling the platinum let these metals rise a little bit going into the end of the year just to make people happy. I wonder where, let's see, let's take a look and see if we can see where platinum started the year. Platinum started the year at, where did it, there it is right there, at 1,090, basically $1,100. So platinum's off $200 for the year. Let's see where gold started the year. Gold started the year at 19. There were some really wild moves there. There was like that was December. There's January 1st. So gold closed at 1914 and gapped up about $36 on the first day of the year. So you're looking at 19 and change, and we are now at what, 17, almost 18, I guess it is, right? Really 18? 1784. So gold is off, what did I say, 19? So gold is off 120 bucks basically, something like that, 120, 30 bucks. You know, we still have 2 weeks. They could literally push this stuff. We get into a daily buy, we're back into the weekly buy. They could literally push gold up and watch it almost close unchanged for the year. That literally could happen. It wouldn't surprise me. And that would be like a, I know that if Middle Age is around, he's pretty excited. There you go, Middle Age is saying, when's the last time you've seen the daily quant in silver in a buy? 19 days, or you mean in a sell? 19 days in a row. Yeah, we've seen things like that before. That big slide a couple years ago, where it went down from, I guess it was in the, the final slide that went from $50 down to like, I thought we did some crazy thing like 24 days in a sell, down to, I guess we got down to 14 or 15. That's what we did, but 16. I guess we got down to 16, and from a all-time high. What was that? That's like 6-7 years ago, in 2011 maybe, something like that. So it's like 10 years ago, and then we saw it work its way down and then go into a couple strange. I think it went into a long sell-off, I think. But yeah, I mean, that could be. I've thought about that over the years. I've thought about putting another column in on my fact check spreadsheet that holds, like, what's the longest buy or sell in a weekly and in a daily. So it's literally 4 columns more. It's bad enough I'm not that, I'm filling this stuff in by hand, but it would be interesting, it would, to take a look at that. And I do have all those Excel spreadsheets. I could go and take a look. That would be interesting. Yeah, that would be. But yeah, it's something. 19 days in a daily sell. Let's see. I mean, I meant they will never let silver go up 19 days. Oh no, we've seen that. Remember when Rob and I wrote that article where we said it was breaking out and there was a reverse finger and all like that a couple years ago? Yeah, that showed it. We had 20. That was another one. It was like 27 days. I think that's why we wrote about it, saying it was going to try to top out. We've seen 20 some odd days in a daily buy, but they don't. Who knows where we were then? Remember, Mr. Trump had the economy running pretty efficiently. He had the Federal Reserve squeezed pretty hard in the sense of telling them stop playing with money. And so they were fearful. There was a lot of reasons why they needed to get rid of Mr. Trump. There was a lot of reasons why they had to take a very aggressive flu and turn it into the Black Plague. Unfortunately, the Black Plague killed off half the population on the planet. But to treat a very aggressive flu like it's the Black Plague is kind of absurd, because we've lost nowhere near any odd statistic. As a matter of fact, I've mentioned it here. I've seen it. 2020 there were less deaths than 2019. and 2018 was more deaths than 2019 or 20. So remember, Mr. Trump had the metals kind of. I guess what gold made it to 21.5 or 22 under Mr. Trump, right? And he basically was telling the Federal Reserve, stop playing these games with the money. Remember the moment he, I saw a chart. I saw a chart. Oh, I think I saved it. What it does is shows the interest rates increases. Let me see if I can find it. It shows the interest rate increases of the Federal Reserve. And I think I put it up on the screen. And interest rates did not go up at all during Mr. Obama. 8 years, right? And then Mr. Trump comes in, and within like 6 months, they take it up to 2.25. They move interest rates from 0 to like 2.25 or 2.5. And then, they start taking it back down again under Mr. Biden. So the Federal Reserve has become a partisan political organization at this point. So what I'm thinking more than anything else is that when the Republicans take full control of the House and the Senate in 11 months, there are going to be a lot of issues about the Federal Reserve. They're going to be on top of the Federal Reserve like white on rice. And they're going to be giving them a lot of grief about this partisan politics that they've been playing. So, it's literally, unfortunately, that type of thing going on right now. It's not, it's not one size fits all in this case. In other words, it's who's in power. If the Democrats are in power, they're going to knock interest rates down hard. And when the Republicans are in power, they take them up. Matter of fact, I even heard someone mention that this morning, like, why did they even dare to do that, making it obvious that the Federal Reserve is more of a partisan political organization now than it is a financial one. That's a real disappointment, That is truly a disappointment. All right, so yeah, we hear you there, middle age. We hear you. We feel you, brother. We feel you. We do. We're right there with you. All right. Let's see. Let's do this. Where did we leave off? So we left off with the metals complex. That's done. And Silverado. And I myself am holding out that I just interpret it that way right now too. In the sense of, I'm not talking about the Federal Reserve and political, but the Exchequer raising interest rates this morning tells us that the pressure is going to happen more and sooner than later. I think that's the best way to describe it. All right, now let's jump over to, where do we go from here? Let's go to, we did the crude oil, and it's holding up, showing strength. Same thing here. Matter of fact, the back month, you can see here, there's the front month, and it's a little weak this morning, but still plus for the day. And our numbers are just holding up. You can see it there. It's now minus 0.01 on a daily. And then let's go back, take a look at it in the June contract, the spring contract of crude oil. Right there. And that's holding up even better. They're not selling it down at all. And you can see the daily is at 54. Now let's give this a refresh just to double check. Yeah, see, it's still hanging there. It's not even interested. Not even interested in backing off. Let's see how much that is up. So in other words, in the oil sector, we have Jan Oil, which will be expiring by the end of this week, up 25 cents. And we have the June oil, well, that's up, no real exciting thing there. It's up basically 30 cents. So it's holding up a little bit better. What's interesting is July oil is up pretty aggressively. And so is September oil. So almost up $1 still. All right, and then from there we go over to natural gas. Let's see where we are. Nat gas. Right there. Yesterday was what, the all-time high now in Europe on that gas. And looks like that's not it. Got the wrong one there. It's an index. Nat gas, there it is. Is that it? That's the one I think we're looking for. Natural gas, that's it. It's backing off a little bit from yesterday, it looks like, in Europe. Oh yeah, look at that. They're backing it off a little bit. You can see here in the United States, kind of, what is that? Flat to up a little bit. You know, it was higher this morning. The daily is trying to lift up. You can see in Europe this morning, they are taking a little profit. I guess, you know, when you're at all-time highs, and whereas nat gas here in the States is trading for, you know, 380, 390, and we'll put that up here. European natural gas is trading at $35, $34, right around there. So 35.5 was the all-time high there yesterday. And let's see, what is that? That is BA. What is that? Okay, let's try this now. Let's find nat gas. I'll just show you here in the States. J4X. There's a couple nat gases on here. Right there, that's the American one. So that's a big difference of $3.80 versus $35. That's a monster shift in value. Monster. AUD, no problem. I think it's in a buy too. Let me just put it up. Put the fact check spreadsheet on. I saw that. Went into a buy there yesterday, right? Right there, yeah. So it's in a daily buy and a weekly sell. Let's put it up there and see what's going on. Right there. Yeah. Going on a second day in a daily buy. The weekly trying to lift up. You can see the super part of the 3, the Gasline 3.5 super. The 5 is already into the plus. You can see the green, the 3, is breaking the manifold. So there is some buying going on here. That's why we leave the super on there. Sometimes it actually, you know, it tops out first. In this case here, it failed. The green failed first. This kept on riding. You can see this thing started moving down. And sometimes it bottoms. Like you can see here, it just tries the bottom and then takes out a new low. In this case here, it creates, what is it? This one right here, and here is the low, like right there on the super side of it, and it just takes off. Whereas it takes about a week and a half longer for the daily on that to do that. Not daily, but weekly. And then you can see here it launches itself. A lot of times I like to watch how the super is under or above the green, you know, the blue. So when the blue drops underneath it, it's a more comfortable short. You know, like right here, more comfortable short. And obviously it's not a comfortable short here. And it's still going down, of course, when we're in a daily sell and a weekly sell. But it tries to tell me that we're coming into a bottom. And that's why I follow the 3.5. I find it fascinating because of that reason alone, you know. Which is more correlated to commodities, AUD or CAD? Well, we used to look, this is the one we used to really watch a lot, now that you're talking about the Commonwealth countries and which one is more correlated. It's not the, I don't know about the Aussie because we never really paid attention to the Aussie in that fashion. I was told this is the one to watch. They used to call it the loonie, and people would get confused since the Canadian loonie coins. So let me just show you right here. It's the NASCAD. For a long time, we followed the NASCAD to correlate with the commodities. And so you can see, like, this is a good example. Here's NASCAD, and it bottomed, what was that, 5 days ago, right? And then when you go and look at, let's flash back to oil, and we'll look at gold over the last 5 days. So there is crude oil. You know, the last 5 days it's been pretty much sideways down. And then at the same time, In other words, with the NASCAD, if it's going up, then neighbors should be going up, and they finally are going up. And then over on, say, the silver, same situation. It's been really going down, not up. So the metals complex normally was following that. But, so it was more of a NASCAD pairs trade, not a dollar pairs trade of it. What's that, the NASCAD? Yeah, we showed there's a lot of correlation. Matter of fact, I think we used to put charts up with gold above it or below it, that type of thing. There was a lot of correlation. Matter of fact, what do we got up there now? We got, let's use J4X for the energies, right? So let's put crude oil in at, let's do gold first. There's J4X with gold, right? And we're just going to scrunch it up for like the last, 3 or 4 months. Okay, now let's look at the NASCAD for the same time period, going back to September. Let's see what we do here. You can see the kind of the correlation. Let's see if we can put it together more. I think we have to go back a little bit further. So there's October. We want to go back to September. Okay, so there's September. And if we scrunch this one up, something like that, and put the two together, I think this peak here, that peak there is beginning November, and that's what that peak is. That's the beginning of November. And so they both break down. This is the NASCAD on the top. This is gold below on J4X. And now you can see here NASCAD made a really powerful run, from June to September. Okay? And let's look at gold between June and September. What is it? We're looking at gold. June and September. So there's June, and you can see it tried to do the same thing, only notice it was making lower lows. And it was stalling out here on these peaks. So there was a time for years we used to follow NASCAD instead of just Canadian. Right now I just watch Canadian. Now let's take a look at Aussie with the same situation. See if there's more of a correlation. There was a time where Aussie was definitely considered a commodity currency. I mean, a heavily commodity. It seemed like when they started to get bought up by China, that seemed to change that flavor a lot. Now there's Canadian all the way back to September. Okay? And if we go like this, doing it right? And there's J4X. And let's put it back to, just double check it again. So that's September, okay? So let's take a look at that. September is right there now, basically. It has that look. Does that match up? August? Is that August here? Let's see what that is. Yeah, that's August too. So that low of August, and then let's do this. Go back to it again. You see the peak there. Yeah, there's a lot to be said about that. Now, that peak here is, what is that? That's November 16th. And this peak here is, I think, October, right? Yeah. October's 27th, 29th. And there is, that peak there is that peak. So this peak is correlated to that peak right there. And what's interesting is that this peak right here in the Aussie, you can see the weakness that was breaking down in the gold, and then they took it up again. So, yeah, there's a lot to be said about the Aussie as a a confirming type of product, pairs trade that matches up to the commodities. And that's why we've moved away from the NASCAD. And that NASCAD has gotten off that track pretty well over the last 9-10 months, and we've just been paying attention to CAD. dollar CAD. But I guess if in all reality, there's a lot to be said. What is that? That's that. Let's do this. Let's put. Well, when you're looking at J4X, gold does follow the Australian very well. Now let's just take a look at it. Let's throw the Canadian up there. And there's September, right there. So, see, that's why I think that's why we started paying attention to it. Is the CAD is even more efficient. There's that, August thing, right there, and that's that peak of August there. So, I just found that the Canadian was just a little bit more efficient at it. That's all. So I don't know. I think that's what it was. I think we've tried that before. I don't, to be honest, I don't remember in the last half a decade me paying attention to the Aussie. Ever since the Chinese started buying it up, there was a definite change of the pattern itself. Remember to all those decades, people would do the pairs trade, dollar Aussie, because the carry trade was really profitable, because there was a lot of money being made in the commodities. And the carry trade was, pretty good. You didn't have to usually worry about hedging it too much. All right. So where were we at? Oh yes. So we looked at natural gas. We did crude oil. So we're pretty much done the complex there. Oh, no problem. It's well worth looking at and thinking about. I don't know how exactly, but we got more comfortable with dollar CAD as a commodity pairs trade to watch more than the NAS CAD, and we drifted away from the Aussie dollars. We've been away from for a long time. Remember, it's up on the top of the list. At one time, we paid attention to it a lot, but it's been half a decade or almost a decade. We barely pay attention to it anymore. It's nice to see people ask about it, because it is a window to the South Pacific, and the Southern Hemisphere, and the China situation, just all of it. All right. From there, I think we'll just take a look at the stock indices. It's basically a laugh to the bank on that one. Let's see. Let's put it up on J4X. Over too. There's the J4X. And let's go with the stock indices. And so what we're seeing here this morning, let's go with, where's that mouse? Here's the NASDAQ, or what they call the Tech 100 on Dukascopy. And Europe, and we used to call it the Tech 100 too here in the States. Now they just call it the NQ. Right there. And this thing is, definitely benefiting from the lack of increase of interest rates right there. Very interest sensitive, I can tell you that. And then, what's the next one we can go after? The next one is, let's see, the next one is the S&P 500, right there. Let's put it up over here. And tomorrow's triple witching, so that's going to drive things a little crazier too. And you can see there, same situation. Matter of fact, today it's playing with the all-time high. Whereas the NASDAQ is not playing with the all-time high. The S&P 500 is. They're making a fast, solid run towards the all-time high there. Let's just contract it up and show you. Yep, all-time high. All-time high. All-time high. Then I guess we go to the Dow Jones Industrial Average right there. Now that is not at the all-time high, because there's the all-time high right there, and that is what, that's how far much higher up? Is that 900 or 300? That's 300. All right, so we're looking at right there. Basically, this thing's trading. It's about 250 points off the all-time high, which is not that. That's not that hard. This product today is up, like, you know. Here, let me just show you. And you see it on J4X2 real quick. Right there. You see the same situation. It's trying to drive up. And let's go to here and do this. This is the intraday of it all. And you'll be able to see the price increases. And it's up like a couple hundred points. There it is. Up 231 points. And I think the high today is 200. It was up by the 36.90. Something like that. 36. Is that right? No, 36. Yeah, 36.90. Not 36.100. So, you know, just 36,090. And 98 is. I think they're saying 98 is the high right there. So, and we're at 36.42 at the moment. So it was up almost 300 points. Now, whereas this is the S&P 500, 52 is the high, and you can see here it's trading at that was right there. That's all-time high there. So they're putting pressure on the stocks. They're just buying them. Now, where's Jordan today? Jordan, yeah, I can see a move to the end of the year on the upside. Now that they're not raising interest rates, I could see that easily. Easily. You can call it what you want. You want to call it the ho-ho rally or Santa Claus rally or whatever. But the end result is that they're going to now feel a lot more comfortable about throwing those dollars at the market all the way to the end of the year. All right. I guess we're going to get out of here. And we got to have a title for this. We'll have to figure something out. All right, traders. Happy trails to you. Remember, tomorrow is TGIF. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. So ta-ta, traders. See you tomorrow at the end of the week. Arrivederci.